Welcome back again, my friends. In this episode, we are looking at the difference between classes and ID. Okay, a div with a class and a div with an ID. What are the differences, and why should we use classes and when should we use ID? Anyway, the truth of the matter is that we don't need to use this one, okay, in our HTML code alone. Okay, so we have to deal with divs and classes whilst we are working together with HTML and CSS. But for some reason, I still have to borrow it and show you something before you proceed. All right. What are classes and what are ID? So we use classes for, let's say, a multiples of taxes and operations. But ID are specifically used for a specific task or content or test. Okay, just take it as that. With time, we understand it better. Okay, so consider classes to be the one that you'll be using in the more when you are working on any of the content. But when you need a specific content to work on or to style it, then you have to use an ID. Anyway, let's see how it turns. Okay, so let's say we need the same thing. We need a div. Okay, so this is the open closing tag of open tag of a div and closing tag of a div. Now inside our open tag of div, we will do to get a class, we do class, then we give it an attribute. So we can give it any name. This one I am choosing to call it city. Okay. Or I can choose to call it maybe Ghana. Let me call this one Ghana. Then let me close it here. Okay, let me close that div here. Okay, now inside London, I want to create another div for London. We can see this is the open tag and closing tag for Ghana, and this is the open tag and closing tag for London. Now to London, I don't want to use class, but I rather want to use an ID. So you use an ID equal to with an attribute, the attribute to give it a name. So I say this is London. So if you are doing styling, you are going to use the name that you give to this one to style the rest of the content inside your container. Okay, all right, so take note of that. Now let me borrow internal styling, okay, from CSS to show you something here. So to style internally, okay, I'm just borrowing. Okay, please, you might not understand it, but don't worry at all. So inside, so let's say I want to style the class with what Ghana. Okay, so I want to start Ghana, and these are the content that we have in Ghana. Okay, to do that, inside my styles, to start a class, we use dots. Okay, so dots, I will do dots, then the name Ghana. Then I said Ghana should have a background color of green. Okay, and have a text color. So to have a text color of red. Okay, then I come to London. So London is what? ID. So ID, we don't use dots, we use hash or pound, how we call it. Okay, so then you give it a name. So it's London. I'm calling this one. Okay, it's an ID. So London. Then I said London should have a background color of orange. Okay, and a text color of white. A text color of white. Something like this. Now let's save it and see how it turns in our browser. Refresh, and there we go. Okay, so Ghana, I think the text color of Ghana is, you look weird. Okay, so let's make it, maybe if blue is okay. Okay, so something like this. So a text color of Ghana, we make it what? Blue. So you can see the difference, London and Ghana. Okay, now the actual difference that you are seeing here is whenever you want to use an ID, okay, you use dot to style it. Sorry, hash or pound to style it. Whenever you want to start a class, you use dot. Okay, so if I change this one to dot, it will not work. The coding cannot fathom what I'm trying to mean. Okay, you see that the styling didn't take effect. Okay, and likewise, if I change this one also to hash, it will not work. The code might not fathom what I'm trying to mean. Okay, you can see. So these are the differences between a class and an ID. So when we are working on a rare live project, you understand it better. Okay, so in a situation whereby I have to style a particular content unique or a unique content, I have to use the ID. For the classes, I can use the same classes to style any content or any text at all. But ID are used in a specific basis. Okay. When you get to CSS, you understand it better. All right. So let's end it here. Like a quick recap. What we did was that we created a div with a class, then we give the class name as Ghana, and we created an ID and we give it and the ID name as London. We follow internal styling here and we use the ID and the classes to style it, and later we refresh on the browser to know the differences. Okay, that is that for today's lesson. Let's come back on the next lesson and learn more.